and the USA, war relations. We're going to be dropping live. Thanks, guys. We ask you all to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more videos like this. I appreciate everybody being here. Let's go.
$1,000 medication for $50.
What's y'all thoughts on this, guys?
It all starts with Rose free insurance check. Just upload your insurance card to see if you have coverage. Then relax. We fight for you so you can get the lowest price possible.
Furry guys, Epic Furry. Weeks before they stop striking. We're going to pull up the stats guy, let y'all hear about it. Hold on just a second.
Good morning. The Israelis
Let's go, guys. How y'all doing? Shout out to yeah, we finna cover some of these topics, guys. Y'all check it out.
Pressure on the regime, and we heard from U.S. Central Command this morning, who indicated that more than 100 Iranian Navy vessels have been taken out since Operation Epic Fury began just over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, let's go.
Into the third week of this operation.
Light too short, what it do?
From the Iranian capital overnight, black smoke rising from the horizon after a significant strike there. Again, not only the storage facilities of Iranian missiles are being
blessings
targeted,
to y'all,
but also the production lines to prevent the Iranian regime from rearming. As these strikes continue, they are expected to intensify in the hours and days ahead. International focus does remain on the Strait of Hormuz, where the Trump administration has indicated they're calling on other countries around the world to participate in pressuring the Iranians and allowing the safe passage of vessels. This is where 20% of the world's oil passes through on a regular basis. President Trump was asked this weekend.
Oh, Wembley, Rocha, you know, no problem, my friend.
Talking to countries about policing the streets, because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. But China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from. Nice to have other countries police that with us, and we'll help, we'll work militarily.
As the United States and Israel put this pressure on it, there are still ongoing attacks against Israel and Gulf countries. There are, due to the fact that they've been quite successful in hitting the launching positions of these ballistic missiles. There was a number of impacts in Israel on Sunday. You can see in this aftermath video here the result of a cluster munition that wasn't launched toward a military target, but rather the civilians of Tel Aviv. The Iranians still talking tough, and we heard this weekend from Iran's foreign minister who said this.
I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked. And they will attack any energy infrastructure in the region which belongs to an American company or an American company is a shareholder. So the reaction would be clear.
Yeah, so y'all see what he said, guys? He said that anybody this is coming from the Iranian leader. He said that if anybody's backing U.S. propaganda, they're going to attack them. They want their sovereignty in Iran, and so they're not putting up with it. And I totally understand him. He want to handle his own problems and deal with them, and so he just want his own thing going on. So I get that. Too much damage has already been done. So people just trying to de-escalate the situation the best they can. Crazy family, OBI, Jardim. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. But yeah, let's move on a little bit and see what else they say, guys.
It is the Iranians are already targeting civilian infrastructure all around the Gulf. But as this is taking place, the Israelis are looking to the east, but also to the north, to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. You can see some strikes here that took place in the aftermath in the Dakhia neighborhood of southern Beirut. Overnight, Israel has formally now launched a ground operation into southern Lebanon to bring the fight against Hezbollah. This is described to Fox News as a limited operation at this point. Reports do indicate hundreds of thousands of Israeli reservists could be called up in the event of an expanded maneuver. Guys?
So far, Hamas is staying out of it, even saying some things that that they're distancing from the war specifically, right?
Yeah, there are a number of regional proxies in the area that actually haven't yet gotten involved in this war. And that's not to mention the Houthis in Yemen that still have drones and ballistic missiles that they could fire at Israel or Gulf countries if they decided to get more directly involved. At this point, though, it has been contained, at least from the perspective of the Israelis, to a two-front conflict. That's
All right.
Thank you.
So yeah, guys, y'all see what he say? He's saying that Israel, they're trying their best to stop the conflict. Yeah, Israel don't want no more problems. They understand that a lot has taken place. They want regular operations going back for the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. So yeah, guys, what y'all thoughts on this? Do y'all feel like they're gonna get peace? Do y'all feel like they're gonna get peace? Or you feel like the control is still in the people's hands? Well, I'm looking at it like this: if the control is in the people's hands, then if there's a will, there's a way. Right or wrong, guys? Yeah, if there's a will, there's a way. And so we're going to move on a little bit and we're going to play a little more.
All right, now let's go to who's live at the Iran-Armenian border as speculation grows now about Iran's new supreme leader. Steve, we're all interested in this. Is the new guy, is he alive?
That's really the key question. Is 6-year-old Qadr al-Sadr alive? Mukhtar al-Khamenei alive or not? Certainly, President Trump has raised the issue. He stated earlier today, speaking to NBC News, he said, I don't know if he's even alive. So far, nobody's been able to say that he's been wounded as well. So it's not clear whether the 6-year-old is alive or not. But some interesting questions, too, have been raised about Mojtaba Khamenei's capability to actually be a leader of Iran. CBS News, in speaking about an intelligence report, a U.S. intelligence report, said that the supreme leader who was killed on the first day of the war actually wanted his son to follow his footsteps as supreme leader. That report reads, the other was wary of his son ever taking power because he was perceived as not very bright and was viewed as unqualified to be leader, according to sources. So, 56-year-old.
So what are y'all thoughts, guys? The Iranian leader, he said that the advisor said that they didn't feel like he was up to par, educational wise, to be the leader of Iran. But if you look back at the tabloids, they announced him the leader after the day after his daddy died. Stateside media. So I think Iran recognized this as a way to where they're saying, hold on just a second. We haven't made a decision on this. But y'all are going ahead and saying that I'm the prime minister. So I think it's a lot of stuff diplomatically that they need to figure out before, the media get involved putting out fake media. And I think they should straighten this, but let's carry on.
The new supreme leader hasn't been seen in public. Now reports from intelligence saying he's not very smart. He war. He has not been seen. All his statements have been read out. So a real mystery surrounding the 56-year-old who's supposed to be in charge. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Steve, I also heard reports that they think he's gay. And what would that be like to be a gay guy in Iran and be a leader?
There are reports that he had some trouble procreating, had to get some help with that a couple of times. So some major question marks about the heir apparent, the Nepo baby in Iran.
All right.
But they voted on that group voted to put him into power.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, the
Council of Experts. And then they...
Yeah, guys, this guy, they're saying that he's homosexual, you know what I'm saying? But what do y'all think about that? Y'all think that's real or fake? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Iran need to figure out how they coming with the media that they coming with, because that was kind of foul right there. If that guy was gay, I think those are like private matters. You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be something that they should put out there, which if he is the prime minister, I guess that's how that go. But I wouldn't have did that, you know. But yeah, let's carry on, guys.
Watch how this.
Another thing too, not my problem no more. I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, but they do need a supreme leader though. That's a powerful country over there, man. They, you know, they deserve that at the least. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what takes place. And America just need to get out of this, man. We need to, you know, it ain't nothing against what nobody's doing, but from my perspective, I would say we just need to get out of this and bring the money back home to the people. But let's see what they talking about, guys.
Here are the latest developments.
For 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very...
Frustrated over lack of progress on an armada to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. President Donald Trump scolds allies and urges others to do more. U.S. allies in Europe and Asia reject Trump's demands to send warships to the strait and be drawn into the conflict. U.S. and Israeli forces continue to pound parts of Iran, hitting major cities, including the capital, Tehran. In Lebanon, Israel begins its ground offensive in the south. The conflict with Hezbollah has already killed at least 850 people and displaced more than 1 million. And Baghdad's renowned Al Rashid Hotel comes under a drone attack.
Yeah, that's another thing, guys. Let's talk about that real quick. What y'all think about drones?
Thank you for joining us. The U.S. is facing growing isolation.
Some people say drones is no good. Like it's like sucker punching somebody. Y'all hit that like button and subscribe when you come in. Drop where you watching from. Yeah, they said drones is like sucker punching because it's like you sneak attacking. But you know, there's no rules to war. So I guess, you know, the way, you know, I'm just analyzing the way people can see it. But yeah, let's see exactly what they're talking about here in this article about the Strait of Hormuz.
And over its plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran effectively blocked the key shipping route. The U.S. and Israel attacked it on February 28th. 1/5 of the world's crude oil and liquefied natural gas.
Blessings to you from Israel.
Channel. President Donald Trump has now called on countries to send warships and minesweepers to ensure that the tankers can transit safely. But he's been frustrated at the lack of support.
We have 45,000 troops in Japan. We have 45,000 troops in South Korea. We have 45,000, 50,000 troops in Germany. We defend all these countries. And then, do you have any minesweepers? And they say, well, would it be possible for us not to get involved? We spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO to defend other countries. And I always said, but if it ever comes time to defend us, then
I see you.
Iran's foreign minister insists that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed for an
plays a key role in safeguarding the freedom of navigation. There was, in our discussions, a clear wish to strengthen this operation, but for the time being, there was no appetite in changing the mandate of the Operation Aspides for now.
Der NATO. Zu jedem Zeitpunkt war also.
It was therefore clear at the moment that this war is not a matter for NATO. Secretary General Mark Rutte has already this. I wish to expressly endorse that view. Nor did the United States of America and Israel consult us prior to this war. As for Iran, there has never been a joint decision on whether to take action. That is why the question of how Germany might contribute militarily does not arise. We will not be doing so.
So y'all see what he said, right? So y'all see what he said? He said he's not getting involved with this war. Y'all heard that from the allies. So there's no political help from nobody. They want this to end, and I think that's the right move. Yeah, I think that's the right move because you can't throw rocks and then hide your hand in this game. You know what I'm saying? So you can't use the allies for something that could be taken care of diplomatically, and that is what all of them are saying. That's exactly what that guy just said. Now, the Strait of Hormuz closed to our enemies is what Iran says. It will not let us and allies pass through. So that's 35% of the world's oil is trapped over there in the Strait of Hormuz. Greg Watkins said, the hell with NATO. When they have a problem, don't come calling. Yeah. 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 That's the way we should treat it from here on out with America. Yeah. We should not help, if they standing on with us with what we're trying to do as a country, United States, and they said no, we're not gonna help you, then that's pretty much saying that they not with us, man. France and Japan is stepping in. Okay, France and Japan. Okay. Article 5 is now in doubt. Man, that's a good one. So yeah, that's a good one. Article 5, yeah, man. The treaties, man, from old. This is the sovereignty of the United States here at hand. And these patent treaties with these other countries like NATO, like Bruss saying. And it's gonna call out a lot of people. This is gonna really show who's with us and who's not. But let's turn up and see what the rest of this article is referring to, guys. Let's get back to it.
Foreign minister insists that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed for enemies, including Washington and its allies. Disruption of the vital shipping route has wreaked havoc on energy markets.
On the first day, they carried out a massive wave of attacks and demanded unconditional surrender. And now, after roughly 15 days since the war, they are turning to others for help regarding the security of the Strait of Hormuz, to those whom until yesterday they considered enemies. Of course, from our perspective, it's open. It's only closed to our enemies, to those who carried out unjust aggression against our country and to their allies.
On the ground,
that's crazy.
Unrelenting U.S. and Israeli attacks continue. These were the scenes in Tehran, where emergency crews scrambled to rescue people trapped under the rubble. Airstrikes hit once again in several parts of the city. The Iranian Red Crescent says at least one of those strikes destroyed a residential area. Iran's health ministry says nearly 19,000 civilians have been injured since the first attacks on February 28th, and 1,500 people have been killed.
So yeah, guys, they say 1,500 people have been killed. This is crazy. Trump sounded like a rejected teenager. I never really wanted to go to a date with you anyways. Iran is making Israel pray to Jesus again. Yeah, this stuff here is coming directly out the Bible. Yeah, God always used Iran as a tool. Iran is kept Esther in the Bible. Iran kept Esther for the Lord Jesus Christ and for God going forward in the premonition of their future. But a lot of people, you got to do your research in the Bible and check it out, and you will see exactly what I'm referring to. But yeah, there ain't nobody to play with, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna take them lightly. Yeah, greetings. Hey, what up, Sniper? What up, Sniper? Wiz Edits. Yeah, man, something's got to happen about this, and I think that a lot of people gonna get involved. Did y'all see where the advisors, they resigned today? The advisors resigned.
Covering developments from Tehran.
But let's pull up, we'll see what Trump said. Let's see exactly what he said in this. Yeah, Esther saved the Jews from being killed. Great one, bro. Great one. Thank you, bro. Yup, see, bro on point. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Let's get to it.
Think about it, and some are countries that we've helped for many years. We've protected them.
Trump argues countries like Japan and China, who rely on most of their oil traveling through the strait, have an obligation to help secure it after it was effectively shut down by Iran. Since the U.S. and Israel launched war on Iran, gas prices have gone up by almost $1 in many U.S. states.
That's crazy.
30% more than many Americans were paying just a month ago.
Wow.
As U.S. allies balk at sending warships, Trump had this response.
Maybe they don't want to be targeted, but I say, wouldn't matter if you're targeted or not, because This is a paper tiger that we're dealing with now. It wasn't a paper tiger 2 weeks ago.
Trump told reporters the U.S. military has struck more than 7,000 Iranian targets, destroying Iranian missile and drone manufacturing plants. Asked whether the conflict could end soon and whether he'd be willing to talk to the Iranians.
Look, all of their leaders are dead, as far as we know, but they're all dead. We don't know who we're dealing with.
The Israeli military has projected strikes on Iran could continue for several more weeks. But Trump insists Israel's not considering using a nuclear weapon.
That's
should the
crazy.
war escalate.
Israel wouldn't do that. Israel would never do that.
Donald Trump is expected to continue his pressure campaign on foreign leaders. On Thursday, Japan's prime minister will meet here at the White House with the U.S. president, where it's expected they'll discuss Trump's call to dispatch warships to the Strait of Hormuz. Kimberly Helton.
So y'all hear that, right?
The White House.
So y'all hear that, right? He said he gonna deploy warships to the Strait of Hormuz. So if that happened, man, it's not gonna de-escalate. I'm looking forward to escalate, because them, that's their sovereignty. You know what I'm saying? But I hope they just joking. We paying high dollar gas prices right now. Oh yeah, shout out to Trump. Hey, shout out to Trump. Shout out to Trump. But I just wanted to make a right decision. See if his advisors are quitting and resigning. That's saying a lot, brother. We got to analyze this. If his advisors are resigning, bro, they the ones that go before the president in the Air Force One and dictate and see everything. You know what I'm saying? And when they come back, they tell him exactly what to do. And so for them to be resigning on this move is kind of weird, dude. Y'all tell me what that means. Tell me what that means. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no to escalation of this war and no to sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz. I think the Iranian people can govern it on their own will, and I think they can handle their business. Yeah, Cuba and all. Let's go back and see what he said, guys. Let's listen to it.
John Holman joins us now live from Washington, D.C. John, the president is obviously very frustrated that he's not getting the support that he wants from...
Murray Locke said he's now threatening Cuba. That's what I hear. All lies. Let me see. Bro, Ghost Summarize said all lies, Kobe, all lies. And half America eats it up like gospel from the Bible.
For particular anger, actually, the United Kingdom, saying that it was before it was known as a Rolls-Royce style ally, and now that it isn't so much. He said that it sent or said that it would send aircraft carriers too late. But he's also talked about countries like China, South Korea, especially China. He said, well, they get a lot of their oil through the Strait of Hormuz, so they should, or we would expect perhaps them to help us more in protecting it. One thing that is interesting about this is that the US Secretary of Treasury was actually talking late last week in an interview, and he said that he understood that China-flagged ships were actually still getting through the Strait of Hormuz. That ties into what Iran said about this, that we won't stop all shipping, we'll just stop the shipping that's allied to the United States and Israel. They haven't really said which countries they consider as allies and that they would stop. But definitely this is a moment in which President Trump is frustrated. He's basically said in an address not so long ago, well, we would defend you when you needed it, especially talking to his European allies and NATO partners, but you're not defending us. I think the response from that, especially from his opponents, is this isn't defense, this is an attack that you've launched. This is a war of choice. And we...
Okay, so y'all see what he said? He said you can't be delusional in this one. You can't act delusional in this one. This is an act of war. You can't be delusional in this. You can't plead the insanity on this one. You got to take it for what it is. Hey, I'm telling you, man, we paying for this right now. Gas prices, everything. What needs to be done, guys? Y'all drop it in the comment section. Let me know. What needs to be done for diplomacy? We need to talk. Let's discuss this, because, man, this finna get out of hand. Let's carry on, though.
don't necessarily have to get involved in that. But definitely a situation which the US itself has said that it can't escort ships yet, that it has to wait till it's military able to do that. And obviously President Trump wants to share some of that risk with other countries.
Y'all hit that like button and subscribe for me, man. I greatly appreciate it. Happy Tuesday, St. Patty's Day to everybody. Much love and support from Hope TV. Let's go.
And in the meantime, John, that creates more uncertainty for not only the cost of oil, but the markets in general and the cost of goods and livelihoods in America and abroad. What did the president have to say?
So y'all heard what she just said, right? She said, goods abroad. You know, this was one of Trump's biggest things. Tariffs, goods. He got to be an expert with this. We already done been through with this. So we got to see what bro gonna say. Let's see what she say though. Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
About that.
Well, he said what he said all along, actually, that the price of gas is going to come down. He said, one, that he's surprised that it hasn't risen more. And he said that as soon as this conflict is over, then that will come down. But he hasn't actually given a timescale for when the conflict will end. He was coming out in the afternoon and saying that the objective is still to prevent the Iranians from getting nuclear weapons. Quite a lot of military experts have said, well, the only way to do that and get that highly enriched uranium would be some sort of ground force going into Iran, even if it was just in a surgical strike, which is no mean feat.
Hey, Danny said, I'm not used to a president doing the right thing, right or wrong. Everybody on this TV saying it's wrong. You know, I'm not arguing, bro. I don't want to get into a diplomatic argument, a political argument. But listen to what they're saying. This ain't me. This them.
So the cost of it. So one thing is the time scale of the war. Already, just yesterday, Kevin Hassett, who's the director of the U.S. National Economic Council, said that it's been $12 billion so far for the administration. But of course, there are those gas prices for the American public. There's possibly food costs and other costs going forwards. And we're not so
OBI gamer.
The midterm elections this autumn,
Big Tiger.
President Trump cares about very much, and so does his party, the Republicans. There's the other cost of this, the more grave one, that of body bags coming back to the United States. So far, we're at 13 US service members who have been killed. 200, it's been reported that have been injured, although the vast majority of those, about 180, have returned to service. So obviously not gravely wounded. But if this carries on, if there is some sort of ground force, then obviously those numbers will increase. And that's also a cost that ordinary Americans just don't like to see.
John Holman, live in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Yep. So you see what he said, right? He said that the people just, they got to wait it out and see what's going to happen next. We don't want to see F-35s and stuff like that over there threatening airways and stuff like that. We want diplomacy. You know, we want to get a resolution, peace resolution. So that way we can move forward, man. We want to grow as a country. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to take a setback. You got to think we just went through a civil movement with Biden. Yeah, y'all forgot about that? Joe Biden, Black Lives Matter, which was a hoax. We just went through a civil unrest. Now we're going through war unrest. How much can the human mind take before we figure it out that chaos is not our friend? Chaos causes confusion. Yeah, USS Saratoga C-60. We kind of stopped the carnage. I was downloading Ace Combat. It's the kind of game in which you suggesting the village by, yeah. Iranians at the border react to reports of death. Yeah, man. Bro said release the Trumpstein files. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. This is really gonna be a big time show for the next week or so. Y'all gotta think, guys, economically, we can't afford no war. Remember, 3-4 weeks ago, we just got bailed out as a government. A lot of people that got money, they don't care about that. But what about the people who ain't got nothing? Amanda, the Bible speaks of this wars and rumors of war. Yeah, Amanda Payne, you right. I was just reading that. in the Bible. Revelations 11 and 13. when it talks about the goat. They got two horns on his head. One of them is damaged. One of them is okay. Y'all go do your research, man, and look at it. It gets down to the science of this, of what's going on. So, Amanda, I agree with you, sister. But let's carry on and see what the rest, what they're talking about, guys.
Let's go now to Tehran and Ali Hashem, who joins us live. But Iran's message, Ali, they've been doubling down on their message on the Strait of Hormuz to the president, which is, it's not closed, it's just closed for you.
No, you got it. Hey, Danny, you got a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. October the 7th was a bad day. But I feel sorry for all the people that lost their life in that. But I hope all of this come to a head to where we can just seek peace, man. I'm not picking sides on this. I just want it to be peace, man. Is there anything wrong about that? You know, God, peace, love, and happiness. That's it. But yeah, let's see what they're talking about.
Well, indeed, this is what the foreign minister said, as we heard from him. And it's the mandate that the supreme leader stated in his first statement when he mentioned the strait directly. And that was a clear order to the military to start
what the U.S. had done if Iran attacked the U.S. first.
Of the Strait of Hormuz is having a huge impact because
I understand what you're saying.
He doesn't want to give Trump the success of a limited war.
Oh yeah, Greg, you're right.
Kind of a leverage for themselves and a liability on Trump, whereas this is becoming, first of all, it's already a regional conflict, and it's turning into an international crisis with prices of oil rising and situation in a kind of another getting out of control. Today also we had reports from the U.S. on possible negotiations or talks, at least, between the Americans and the Iranians. But Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi tweeted just a few minutes ago refuting these reports and saying that they are meant to cheat oil sellers and the oil market.
A message to the President of the United States. The outcome of war cannot be determined by tweets. The result of a war is determined in defeat, the very place where you and your forces do not dare to approach, and you can only talk about it in your tweets. It's better to name this war as epic fear instead of epic fury.
Oh man, you heard what he said?
As all of this diplomatic
oh man, you heard what he said?
Washington and Tehran, the people in Iran are still bearing this.
Hey, he said instead of calling it epic fury, call it epic fear. Iranians ain't standing down to this. That's why I say, you know, when you got a battle, and you know, I'm generally speaking, right? But when you got a battle with somebody and they ain't backing down, what that mean? I mean, you got to saddle up, right? So I'm hoping that Trump got his eggs in a row. I'm gonna call him arrogant and above his means. As long as he don't make that decision to where it costs all of us Americans. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not worried about, you know, ballistic missiles, uranium, plutonium, nuclear weapons. I'm not worried about none of that. They're not finna do that. If you was to nuke Iran, you would turn all the gas into glass, basically. You gotta think how much heat is gonna be hitting those gas fields. Man, it'll disintegrate all the gas out with them, man. They not finna drop no bombs. That's rhetoric. That's war rhetoric. But yeah, a lot of this stuff just propaganda. Let's carry on.
Bombardment. What can you tell us about the strikes that have hit there today?
Well, there have been several strikes today. At least in the morning, we saw a huge one in the center of Tehran. There were another couple in the north of the city, also in several cities. In Shiraz, there was a huge airstrike. Also, there are reports of other strikes in several areas around the country. However, now what we know is that the country is dealing with a situation of war in every...
Hey, Maury Locke, you right. Maury Locke, thank you for that message.
And each province, almost 28 out of 31 provinces have been attacked by the United States and Israel. On the other hand, it seems that there is an attempt by the state in Iran to try and normalize the situation. Whereas we can see shops opening, we can see life relatively getting back to norm. Very different contrast from what used to be during the 12-day war last year.
Ali Hashem, our thanks to you in Tehran. Canada, France, Germany, and the UK.
Hold on just a second before we carry on. Bro said gooey oil is bigger than Middle East oil and U.S. working with them. Okay, I never heard of gooey. Where is gooey? What country is gooey? Paul said F-35s can carry tactical nukes. Oh, yeah, facts. I understand what you're saying, tactical nukes where it won't blow up everything. I understand. Mary Locke said Iran had a strategy as they were waiting for Israel, America, to start a war. If it were the other way around, it had happened to the president's wife and family, would have been the outcome. Next, Venezuela. Man, you got a great point. It probably would have been nukes. If they would have hit Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump, they probably would have pushed that button. But, Trump mentioned in, the preview that he said that this ain't the paperclip game no more. He playing real ball. So it's crazy, man. Let's see what he's talking about.
Have issued a joint statement warning against a major Israeli ground offensive in Lebanon. Israel announced on Monday that it had launched ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. It says it's targeting the armed group's key strongholds there. The ground operations were preceded by airstrikes.
Okay, Dina Walter said Goonie is next to Venezuela. Okay, I'm going to research that. Yeah, I'm going to research that. I didn't know that, bro. Thank you very much, Dina.
More than 1 million people in Lebanon have been displaced by Israeli military operations there in the past 2 weeks. Heidi Pett is live for us in Beirut. Heidi, what more can you tell us about this ground offensive?
If you live here in Florida and you're...
you say, have I heard anything about Tucker Carlson? What happened to Tucker? No, I haven't heard anything about him. I do know one thing though. We need some. I don't know how this gonna make nobody rich. War can't make nobody rich unless you locked in with Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. If you locked in with people like that, then yeah, you making money right now. But if you ain't connected to those type of people, high sector, level 5, level 4 type people, ain't nothing going on. Believe that. Iran state media confirms death of security chief. Yeah, I seen that. The security chief was hit. Like I said, they hit over 70,000 targets in Iran. So at this point, there's a war. That's what I'm saying. So, there ain't no turning back. We just got to figure out hope for the best way forward, moving forward. What y'all think, though, guys?
Since the beginning of the renewal of hostilities, and in fact, actually before, during what was termed a ceasefire.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dana Ford, you right.
Experience it as such.
War makes richer, and the poor. Yep.
Are operating on the ground inside southern Lebanon, which they have been doing, in fact, for the last week or more. We're seeing clashes concentrated around the town of Hiam, which is a hilltop town. It's very strategically important. The Israeli army has been...
Oh, yeah, Dina Walters, facts. Had to be done.
...that town for a number of days now. We've had a statement in the last little while.
Trump used him as bait because he knew he was a snake.
Israeli forces on the ground there.
Wow.
Many at Israeli forces inside that town at 9.
I agree with you, Amanda.
On Monday evening, and they are also claiming that they...
Remember, guys, hey.
Israeli tanks still operating inside the town of Tabor.
Remember, Jimmy Carter is the one that put... Y'all remember this? Jimmy Carter is the one that put this guy into the supreme seat over in Iran. Does anybody know that? So he was almost like the CIA. He almost reminds me of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was given weapons in the Cold War by the United States or Russia, one of the two. I can't remember. All I'm saying is that when countries get done with you and you're no more of a use to them, what comes next is the question we all got to ask ourselves. Jimmy was a preacher, okay. The UK purchased 39% of crude oil from Norway. Squirrel, please check. Okay, United States, okay. Russia, United States, and Israel attack Iran after weeks of military buildup and threats from President Trump. Large-scale strikes targeted Iran and military assets. And the Islamic Republic top leader. Man, I think it's time for the true movement of the people. MLK kind of stance. Stand up, America. Let's walk in peace and silence and stand tall. Man, I like that right there, bro. I like that, man. That's my approach on this. You know what I'm saying? That's my approach on this. All they had to do is walk away. Yep. Let's go along a little bit further with this article.
Also just close there along the Israeli border. So what we're seeing is a confirmation and an expansion of the Israeli ground operation in southern Lebanon. And of course, this comes in the context of this massive forced evacuation order that has been issued by Israel, telling all Lebanese citizens who are south of the Zahrani River that they need to evacuate their homes under immediate threat of Israeli airstrikes or indeed ground forces.
Now, Heidi, we're seeing these calls from European countries and Canada to de-escalate the situation. Where does the Lebanese government stand with going through any talks?
So the Lebanese government has expressed that they are actually willing and open to engage in talks with Israel. In the past, these kind of talks have been going through an interlocutor. The last ceasefire was mediated by the US, but they have expressed that they're actually open to speaking directly with Israel, which is very significant. These two countries have been in a state of war officially for some decades now. So that is quite a significant overture that they have made by declaring that they'd be open to that. So we've got that from the Prime Minister, Noah.
So she's saying that Lebanon. What y'all think about that? That's big.
Salam and also the president. But crucially, what's missing is...
Hey, yeah, you know, Hillary Clinton was out there when that went down and remember when all them people got killed? Hillary Clinton's face was all over that one. Y'all know what I'm talking about, but I ain't pointing no fingers now. I'm just telling you the facts.
Senior political representative for the Shia community here in Lebanon. And Nabih Berri, he is the Speaker of Parliament, he's the most senior political leader here, has said that it's appropriate to engage in those discussions, to talk about ceasefire negotiations under fire. So while Israeli airstrikes continue, while the ground operation continues, while
it was her fault.
People now are officially displaced, that those talks would not be appropriate.
Yeah, it was Hillary's fault. She got the emails, and she trashed the emails after they told her it's going to be a fight over there, a war fight. And she discredited it. Went on about her business. They ended up dead the next day.
What we really need to talk about here in Lebanon is Hezbollah themselves, who are engaged militarily with Israel on the ground. And what we've seen from their most recent public statements is they're striking a very defiant tone. You know, the Lebanese government has tried to outlaw those military operations. They've declared them illegal, and yet they continue. And the last public statement that we had from their...
Yeah, that was in Benghazi. Hillary Clinton let them people die at the embassy, the United States Embassy, man. And then I don't know how she made it out of the Supreme Court with that one, but hey, you got to be cleaning toes, washing booties, and everything to get off that one.
Secretary General Naim Qassem was very defiant, saying that they were waging a legitimate battle here in Lebanon and one that they expected to continue for a long time.
Heidi Pett, live in Beirut. Thank you. Let's go to Rory Challens now, who's in Jordan's capital, Amman. So, Rory, obviously the other side of would-be talks to de-escalate here is the Israeli side. What are they saying about the prospect?
Well, we've had really mixed signals from the Israelis in the last few days about any talks between Israel and Lebanon, direct talks. It would be, as Heidi was saying, they're unprecedented for Lebanon to be recognized or to recognize Israel. In the recent days, we have heard the foreign minister saying that there are no planned talks with Lebanon. But then, on the other hand, Benjamin Netanyahu has appointed Ron Dermer, who's one of his top fixers, to head up the Lebanese brief. And there were reports that he had gone across to Saudi Arabia to try and sort of set the groundwork for those talks
they
to
pay
take
him.
place. And we heard from
I got
President
you.
Emmanuel Macron, who was offering France as a platform, as a host for any direct negotiations, and the French had some proposals that they were putting forward as well. And we can hear what Israel's President, Isaac Herzog, has said in response to that just now.
I think it's a very positive development. I think it's very important that there should be talks. As the Israeli government confirmed, there will be talks. The talks are very important because it's about time we have an opportunity of moving forward with Lebanon.
Yeah, so he said they're going to move on. They're going to talk about it.
No date set for these talks.
Oh, yeah, appreciate this old school dresser.
No terms agreed. Heidi was just taking us through the complications for the Lebanese side in any direct negotiations there. On the Israeli side, well, you've got the military who on the ground in Lebanon are saying that they are not going to stop their campaign against Hezbollah until Hezbollah is disarmed. So there might be the architecture there for negotiations, but nobody yet is walking through the door.
IRGC agents. Wow, I didn't know that. Great information.
And also from Iran, it looked to be some pretty significant.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh yeah, that's the heavy stuff. Facts.
Yeah, well, sirens at a.
Yeah, so guys, like I said, from the Middle East side, Lebanon, and the Lebanese people are wanting to do talks with Israel and Iran, and so if they can do joint discussions on diplomacy, I think everything will work out. Other than that, like I said, more warships and more F-35s over there is just gonna cause more harm. You know, Iran has got ally help. They got Iran. They got China. They got some people too now. They got Russia. So we can't just act like it's Iran by itself. Attack quickly escalate into a regional war and widespread ramifications for critical supply chains and humanitarian aid. Iran effected closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Absolutely, by the IRGC. That is correct. And if they keep it closed, man, it's going to suffocate some people. Because not only is oil coming through their supplies as well. Oil is just a big, you know, one of the big tools that's coming in there, but it's more than just oil coming through there. They got to feed them people right enough. Yeah, but you know, man, we got to just wait it out and see, guys. But I want to tell y'all, thank y'all all for coming in this evening, guys, for dropping your thoughts. Stay tuned for more videos like this, guys. We're gonna keep them coming, keep them rolling, and hope y'all have a super blessed rest of y'all night tonight, guys. Like I said, I thank everybody for coming in, and look out for another video like this tomorrow. Hopefully more stuff is revealed to us, and we'll bring the news straight directly to y'all. Amanda, thank you. Village Food, Diana Ford, Barbarian Khan, everybody, Deanna Walters, you know, just everybody that, you know, gave their input on this. I greatly appreciate it, and, you know, just keeping our composure with our different perspectives, because, you know, we might think different, but we all want peace at the end of the day, no matter how they do it. And so, gas prices are at the whips of their hand. Groceries is at the whips of their hand. So let's just keep praying for them and keep God first, man. Thank y'all, guys, and have a super blessed rest of y'all day. I'll see y'all. Stay blessed, guys.